Minn Kota Windows has been manufacturing windows since 1980 with Rahal quality UPVC and all-climate glass. Our windows never require scraping, staining, or painting, and there are no harmful chemicals inherent to other types of vinyl on the market. So when people ask, why Minn Kota Windows? It's the quality and craftsmanship behind the Midwest-built, Midwest-tough design. Ask for Minn Kota Windows.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
I'm John Meacham. Welcome to Fate of Fact, Season 1. This series is about how and why fact became a casualty of war in the United States. Please listen and follow Fate of Fact, a presentation of Shining City Audio, a John Meacham and C13 original studio. Available now for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Jim Brower, former Major League pitcher, grew up right here, of course, played at the University of Minnesota, served as pitching coach for the Seattle Mariners, now working with a lot of young arms in the area as well. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Actually, thanks for having me.
Let me start with, I'm sure that there's some pretty interesting conversations that are had in the bullpen, particularly when you're the pitching coach, you're guiding young people through it. We saw this the other night when Astudillo came in and pitched. Of course, he wouldn't be one of the pitchers that you worked with. And 3-0 count, he gives up the home run to Mercedes. Mercedes takes a swing at it. Some people say poor form, etc. What kind of conversations go on in a bullpen during those situations?
I mean, at that point, when you have a position player in there, you're literally just trying to get through the game, and if you can throw strikes, that's awesome. So there's different ways you can look at it. Positions player, going in there, just throw strikes, and no count is different than another. And I think you did him a favor by swinging at that pitch.
Mm-hmm.
If he pops up 500 feet, everyone's like, well, thankfully we got through it.
Yeah.
We were trying to save arms. You're trying to save arms and throw strikes. That's the most important thing. You are serving up batting practice. I mean, that's what, when you put a position player in there, understand that's called BP.
Yep.
And that happens in batting practice.
Now, Tyler Duffy comes in last night, and his first pitch is behind Mercedes, point made, etc. What kind of conversations would you be having in a situation like that the next night? And they waited till the veteran came in, Tyler Duffy didn't know. But what kind of conversations, or don't you even have to have a conversation?
Nowadays you do. Back in the day, the players kind of police themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But as you saw, when he hit a home run, they talk about old school. At the time, old school is if you swung a 3-0 pitch like that in a down game that's that big, everyone's yelling at the hitter.
Yep.
As he's running around the bases. Even as a teammate, if I'm that's my teammate doing that, I'd be like, uh-oh, that's not good. But then they police themselves. Now, if they want to throw behind the back or throw at somebody, that's coming from a coach, or I don't think they have a veteran player that's going to, pull that off. That's a conversation ahead of time. That's premeditated. That's planned. Obviously, he didn't execute it by throwing it behind him. Usually, you want to send a message by hitting somebody, because in theory, you hit him, and especially if you hit him hard enough, he's going to turn around to the guy that hit that home run, saying, "Listen, I'm sick of getting hit for you. Don't do stupid things.
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and you're going to make that adjustment." That's not the way that it is nowadays. I mean, players aren't geared that way. So the people that got mad are the coaches, and the coaches wanted retribution. Obviously, Duffy wasn't in on it. Otherwise, you would have hit him. Because if he really wanted to hit somebody, you crush him.
Especially a big guy like that can't move.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, pitching is not an exact science, but hitting a big guy like that, if you really wanted to, and send a message.
Yep.
But even if he hits him, I'm glad he didn't, to be honest with you, because I don't think it was the right thing to do anyways. But no one got hurt, and it's a good conversation for me and my buddies the next day. Absolutely,
good conversation for everybody about the baseball code, as we say. Now, the Twins have struggled with their bullpen. I said this the other day, but I want your take. I said, what they did to an extent was they picked up a couple of guys, etc. Calumet, it looks like he's getting a little bit better, but they also banked on guys getting into their prime and getting better. Devin Smeltzer, Lewis Thorpe, Dobnek. They thought these guys could hold down the fort and get them to the ninth inning, etc. And they really haven't. There's been some injuries, but they haven't been quite what you think. How do you go about evaluating when a guy's ready to be a big league good relief pitcher versus, hey, we got to go out and get somebody?
Well, I think it takes, to your point, they're kind of playing the slice, expecting every year that they're going to gain a maturity and experience. but it depends on what the experience was prior to that. I mean, if they're just a lone reliever, and when I say that, it was me, that doesn't set you up to be an 8th inning guy, 9th inning guy. It does have to be kind of massaged in, because it is. Every inning is a little bit different. I know nowadays everything's stuff driven, like how hard can you throw. There is still a difference between the 6th inning, 8th inning, and 9th inning. And we've had a ton of those conversations with the Mariners, and it's not just experiential for my part, but just in real life, the lights are a little bit brighter in the last inning. Why is that? I mean, there's a lot of things that are around that. So when they put these kids in those situations, they may not just be ready for it. It doesn't mean they won't be at some point, but there's an experience that everybody wants to have the experience, but not really have to go through the negative part of it to get it.
Yep.
And these guys they're wearing it. And, the coach's job, yes, to make them better on a daily basis, but also track back the next day and have that hard conversation, like what happened right there. And it's not a 100 pitch. Well, more importantly, what were you trying to do to that pitch? That's coaching nowadays, even with all these analytics, is more important than ever. I mean, you literally have to connect with these kids, and, hopefully that's what they're doing, because these are great learning experiences, but if you're not having those conversations, those experiences just kind of keep compounding.
Now, I know this isn't, you and I aren't spending the money, etc., but I thought maybe this offseason they'd go get Brad Hand because he's a local guy, bring him back, and have him and Rogers, two left-hander closers almost out of the pen. As you look, and it's easy to, obviously, hindsight 2020, but would that have been a good piece for them given what you're seeing right now?
Well, even before that, I mean, it's not even hindsight. I mean, obviously now it would be great to have some great relievers. I feel organizations feel like the bullpen is the one that's easiest to fix the holes. Hey, if we're doing well, we can always go get an arm or two. The problem is that the bullpen, I mean, they're like lemmings. There's not usually one guy that's doing great, and everybody is, it's like all or nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's the way they feed off each other. So when you say you're just going to pick up an arm or two to make a difference, there's not an arm or two that's going to make a difference in that bullpen. I mean, you can say, well, if I bring a closer, then I can put these other guys in more or less impactful roles and be more comfortable. But again, now you're guessing. Literally going in, and it doesn't mean all these guys are going to have success, but going in with a 7th, 8th, 9th inning, these guys have done it before. And if they don't, then obviously we have guys that can fill in. But going in with some guesses late in the innings, I was with Colomé for a year when I was with the Mariners.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Again, when he's on a roll, he's awesome, and he is a veteran guy, great guy to have back. But again, some people do have off seasons, and I think they're doing a good thing by putting him in less impactful roles, kind of get his feet underneath him, and then I'm sure he'll bounce back. But again, that's because he's had the track record, and if you're going to win now, and this is a World Series type of year, which I was on board with that myself.
Yeah,
being in Minnesota, I just thought that was a hole they're trying to fix with people that were, they're hoping, not knowing, but they're hoping that they can step up versus, spending some more money. Obviously, Hand is awesome and expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Jim, you're working with pitchers right now. We talk a lot about velocity. We talk a lot about a lot of different things. But when you're working with, say, teenage pitchers, if you can teach them to throw strikes, can just about anybody be effective, at least at the high school level, if they can command 2 pitches?
They can. I mean, it's part of velocity and development. What I'm doing here is, bringing P3 out of St. Louis, some next level stuff to get these kids. Velocity can go hand in hand with control, and that's the cool part of what's going on right now. And if you focus on movement, focus on getting them as clean as possible in the delivery, kind of like when I was playing, it wasn't about velocity, it's about how good a mechanics and can you repeat. That's where control comes from. But nowadays, man, we bring this next level information, and we can get control. Now, it may not be painting in and out, but you can blow through the strike zone with a fastball, and all these different metrics that we're having. That's where I read a great article today about it's not just the fastball velocity, it's the secondary pitches that are blowing people away. So to your point, if a kid has a fastball location and we have all these different tools on the pitching side to create, really good breaking balls and sliders, and, it's hard to keep up because the hitters can't compete in those kind of situations because the pitch machines in the off season, those aren't game speed. I mean, those are very static. On the other hand, I have pitchers that are high school pitchers with breaking balls that are electric. Fastball velocity may not be there yet, but the mechanics can repeat it, and they have a great secondary pitch. So, yeah, that's success is coming at not 90 miles an hour.
Well, last question. I mean, if a kid's 15, 16 years old and he wants to throw harder, what is the one thing that you would say? You know, I hear long catch from time to time, and some people say it's in your legs. What would be the one thing you would ask them to do consistently to gain velocity?
It's having they call it workload management. You have a plan. You have a Google Calendar, and you just map out the days that you throw hard. And every week you have to have 2 days that you let it go. Some guys are good at long toss. Some guys like to get on the bullpen mound and get after it. But if they pick 2 days a week and spread that out, and making sure it's not too much work back to back, that's where arm strength comes from. In order to throw hard, you got to move faster and try to throw hard. And over time, you know, hopefully the coaching can help dial it in. But that's where, for me, the arm strength comes from.
Jim, that was fun stuff. Appreciate it very much. Hope we can do it again this summer.
That'd be awesome. Take care, Maxie.
You bet. Jim Brower, nice enough to join us.
Minn Kota Windows has been manufacturing windows since 1980 with Ray-Howe quality UPVC and all-climate glass. Our windows never require scraping, staining, or painting, and there are no harmful chemicals inherent to other types of vinyl on the market. So when people ask, why Minn Kota Windows? It's the quality and craftsmanship behind the Midwest-built, Midwest-tough design. Ask for Minn Kota Windows.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
I'm John Meacham. Welcome to Fate of Fact, Season 1. This series is about how and why fact became a casualty of war in the United States. Please listen and follow Fate of Fact, a presentation of Shining City Audio, a John Meacham and C13 original studio. Available now for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.